that bid is deemed withdrawn, then we make... Mr. Chairman, duly acknowledged.
Thank you very much. Nominee, you may proceed to answer the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Gideon Buakun has got it very wrong. Very wrong in the sense that he's not privy to the IMF data. And I want to refer him to the IMF staff report for 2018 and 2019. And if you can check now, I want to take him into it. Mr. Chairman, he's wrong. In fact, the very 7.8 fiscal deficit for 2016 was reported by the IMF. And Mr. Chairman, the IMF has subsequently even revised the fiscal deficit for 2016 down on cash basis to 6.3%. 6.3%. Mr. Chairman, you know me in this house. I don't just speak. I speak with data. I research before I speak. I use data from independent sources. Ghana was in an IMF program at the time. 2017, the Ministry of Finance presented a budget. They quoted the numbers he's making reference to. I challenged the numbers. In fact, my former boss also challenged the numbers because I was a deputy minister at the time. 2018, they repeated the same inaccurate numbers, and it had become the order of the day. Mr. Chairman,
point of order.
I have a responsibility.
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
I have a responsibility to defend our legacy. And I had a responsibility to defend our legacy. And in defending the legacy, I actually decided to use data from independent sources, the International Monetary Fund. And in doing so, the IMF presented this data. Mr. Chairman, I'll give you this to tabulate for me. Ministry of Finance's own data. I did not compute this data. It's coming from Ministry of Finance. According to the same Ministry of Finance, the fiscal deficit, cash basis for 2016, was 6.3% of GDP. Mr. Chairman, I was extremely charitable, extremely charitable, because I've weighed off 1.5% of GDP. Because that was what the Ministry of Finance has reported. They gave it to me this morning when I asked for it. This is coming from the Ministry of Finance. So there's no basis for me to apologize. I stated the fact. I stated what is coming from the IMF, what I had earlier on objected to, and I've asked the government to consider relook.
Earlier, that he doesn't have the power to ask any nominee to apologize. It doesn't lie in his mouth. And it was withdrawn. So I will move to the next questioner, member of the committee, Honorable.
Mr. Chairman, I'll seek your leave to for a point of order. My brother and
you are taking the point of order on who? Which matter are you taking the point of order on?
On the matter he just put on the table that consistently Ministry of Finance presented wrong data to
Under what order are you coming?
Mr. Chairman, I have to put this on record that he's saying that consistently for 2 years, Ministry of Finance presented wrong data. You were a member of parliament at that time. We were all members of parliament at that time. And then he comes back to tell us that today he's gone back to that same Ministry of Finance to get accurate data because he's the one going to, lead or chair, lead the ministry. I don't think it is proper. I don't think this is how we should treat ourselves. If for one reason you have found out another data that is maybe contrary to what we presented, definitely there will be explanations. Definitely there will be, reasons why it is so. But to say that consistently we presented wrong data to Parliament consistently for 2 years, Mr. Chairman, this is Ghana. And like my neighbor in Etiwa West said, whatever we say here the international investors are listening and watching, and to have repercussions on this economy. So let's manage what we say. We are not saying don't speak the truth, but you cannot say that consistently for 2 years. Ministry of Finance presented a wrong data here. Mr. Chairman, I expect you to do something about it. Thank you very much.
I will not allow the nominee to answer. That is not a question. It's a commentary. May we proceed? Honorable
Mr.
Patrick
Chairman, I have to do something. Parliament at that.
Patrick Yabuama, it's now your turn.
On the committee, so we must do some. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to ask some questions. Let me use the opportunity to congratulate my good friend, Honorable Kasiel Atuba-Forson, for his nomination as Finance Minister there. Sometime in 2022, you alluded to the fact that the central bank had printed over 20, ostensibly to inject into the economy some funds. I would want to find out from you if you still stand by that comment or those comments, given the fact that the central bank came out with a statement explaining what they did, which was in line with the fund program and also some borrowing. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I've not changed my position. Ghana was not in an IMF program in 2022, and it cannot be in line with the IMF program.
I didn't get an answer correctly from my good friend.
Honorable nominee, can you repeat your answer?
Mr. Chairman, he said what the central bank in an IMF program, and I stand my position that the central bank indeed engaged in monetary financing, in other words known as money printing.
Much for repeating your answer. Your second question.
Honorable Atu-Forson, sorry for calling you Atu. I'm used to calling you Atu. You are someone who loves to read a debt report, and you've always engaged me on the debt report from the Ministry of Finance. May I, reading from the previous debt report, the public debt as it stands now increases with the depreciation of the cedi. Which is mainly outside the purview of the central bank or the Ministry of Finance. What are you going to do differently to ensure that exchange rate depreciation do not have a very negative effect on our balance of payments? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Nominee, your answer to the question.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, yes, this House always considers the debt report. The Finance Committee always considers the debt report. We started raising the red flags and asked the Minister to act far back 2020. In fact, we deepened our call in 2021 and asked the government to act immediately. Our major concern at the time had to do with the exclusion of certain lines. ESLA bond, Sino-Hydro loan, Dache bond, and many others. And we said, what they are doing is wrong. And that as long as you are going to use government revenue, public revenue to repay this debt or service the debt, you should count it as part of the debt. So the debt that they were reporting excludes some of this debt that I've mentioned. We were ignored. But in the end, when Ghana went into the IMF program, we were compelled to add Sino-Hydro loan to the public debt, ESLA bond to the public debt. We were compelled once again to add Dache bond to the public debt. So we came back to the basics.